on. It's game on. We are big on sports. Big on sports.
Good afternoon and welcome to Game On. My name is Desire Derek Ford Mugumisa, and we are glad to have you yet again. It's yet another day in the world of sport, and that is exactly what we are here to bring to you. Today, we are going to be starting off our show talking to some gentlemen. These gentlemen coming in from a sport known as lacrosse. If you've watched urban television sport for even just 2 years, then you definitely have an idea what lacrosse is about. But if you do not, today is your lucky day because you get to find out. With me is a publicist for the sport in Africa, that is Liberty Twesime, and the Uganda national team coach, Peter Giniga. I know I got your names right.
Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. Great to be here.
Well, great to have you. I'll start with the coach, because hey, you are the coach, head coach of Uganda, a man that has an interesting story. I always want to start with that story before we get to talk about whatever it is that gets to bring them every day. And Peter, for the person that is not watching, how did you pick interest again to coach Uganda?
Well, it goes back about 3 years.
Yeah.
I had coached a number of Ugandan players in the Israel Premier League.
Yeah.
And they would get two guys to come up and play every summer, and I met them there and got to know them, got to really like them a lot. Really got a good education on what's going on here with lacrosse, and just kind of, it all started off as a very, very low-key kind of conversation.
Yeah.
If you guys ever need any help with anything, let me know. And I'm still living in the United States. I still live in the U.S.
Yeah.
And I was coaching college ball, and the conversation started to get a little more frequent and a little more serious. And then about a year and a half ago, they asked, and I accepted. And I've been here now. This is my 9th trip here in the last 15 months. I feel like a native. I feel like a resident.
Yeah.
Still won't drive here, but no, everything is good.
Okay.
No complaints.
All right. Awesome. You will drive someday. Don't worry. You'll get to learn. Anyways, you just came off a tournament with, an invitational tournament with a bunch of different Ugandan teams getting to take part in there. However, it was Team Kenya that got to dominate that one. And for those of us that have had a little bit of an understanding of the sport, it is Uganda that introduced this sport to Kenya. And, a couple of the players were going out there and teaching Kenya, yet they came out and dominated. At least that's what it looks like on paper. What exactly happened on ground?
Well, no, look, it was a great tournament. And I think so many good things happened there. And Kenya played great. And they're doing a great job there. And Storm and her group there have done fantastic things in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. That was their under-19 national team. And they were playing against some of the local high schools here. Mm-hmm. And I thought our high schools played really well. I thought all the games were fairly exciting. Mm-hmm. But it's a growth process with everything, Sport's a funny thing. One day a team can dominate you, and the next day you can dominate them. So I know there's a big game tomorrow with sort of with the Kenyan team again, and I believe it's with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Liberty, I think it's with a group of like all-stars. Mm-hmm. From the high schools here. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's it.
So, I think, that should be a very exciting game, but I thought the tournament went off great. I thought the organization was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Great venue to play at the sugar plantation. Mm-hmm. That was my second time being involved, and I was here just as a spectator. Yeah. With like an international friendly kind of situation here in Uganda, and I thought this one went off just very well. It was very well attended. I thought it was, like I said, organizationally it was fine. I'm pleased with the process that's going on here and the progress they're making.
All right.
And I think everything they do is just going to get better.
Awesome. That is quite the report that the coach does get to deliver. Liberty, of course, you've been at the helm, or at least in the mix of the battle to get lacrosse get to grow in Uganda. With what you've seen over the years and what Coach Peter is getting to put across right now, what do you think?
Yeah, I think we are making a lot of progress. And because now we are looking at transitioning from having the boys' game all over the place to also uplift the girls' game, to a level that they can become competitive locally here, and also see if they are worthy of a world championship kind of shot. That is what is in the pipeline right now. That's why we had that invitational tournament, to have the team from Kenya that is already clearly putting out its intentions to compete in the Under-19 World Championship in 2019. That is next year in Canada. So we call them to come over so we can play with them, and also try to see those things that we need together, and see, is Uganda ready for a kind of competition that is deemed international. And that is what we are looking to build, and we think we are on the right track. We are going to pull it off. Uganda could have an Under-19 girls team in the World Championship come 2019 in Canada.
All right. Now, let's quickly get to look at the results that did get to come in from those games yesterday. And this is what they got to look like. Quickly, if we can get to look at those. In the men's game, the Uganda Select got to get beat by the Uganda Lacrosse 4-6, and that is quite interesting. Our friend here, Liberty, will get to explain further about that. In the girls' games, Team Kenya running over Kawanda 3-0. Kenya again beating Kenyan 2-1. Then Kenya beating Maroon 3-0. Kenyan getting to beat Kawanda 3-0. Kenyan drawing with Maroon 1-1, and then Kawanda beating Maroon 1-0. Now, this was in the round-robin format, and that's why you see all these games getting to be played in there. Liberty, I'll come back to you. With these results being looked at, can we say that they don't exactly tell the story of Team Uganda, because what Team Kenya were playing against were different teams in Uganda, and maybe the game tomorrow that Coach Peter talks of will be the one to tell us where exactly Uganda stand?
The results from the weekend games, they are very good, for being that Team Kenya, a select team from over 10 schools, was competing against different school teams, and yet these school teams were still able to control the damages that were being made. So for our teams, each of the games teachers, they were so happy with what was happening, being that they were facing a select team from a different country. And we will put that to test when it comes to tomorrow, because a Uganda select team is playing against the Kenyan select team at the same venue, Meta Stadium in Rugazi, to have that put to see exactly what was happening. Is Uganda making some progresses, or is Team Kenya still that far? But I can tell you the truth, we are very comfortable with the results. We are very happy that the teams are coming out to participate in these tournaments, even when the school programs doesn't seem to allow for that. But some schools are still committed to coming out and play, meaning that if the coaches and the development partners are thinking of putting Team Uganda in the World Championship, that means we will have quite a number of schools and quite a number of players committing to being on the national team, even against the tight schedules that they have.
Awesome. Now, speaking of progress, Coach Peter Ginniger here, you did get to have the Ugandan team go out to the World Championships. We've not managed to talk to you since. What did you make of the performance of the national team that you led out there?
I'm very proud of what we've done. I think, a lot of national teams, they'll be together for a number of years before they actually play in the World Championships. We were together just about a year and not full time. And I think our level of play went up dramatically from 2014, and that was evident, and that was something that everybody there noted, and they saw that right away. From our first scrimmages there against Ireland and some others, it was evident that we were a much different team, a much more knowledgeable team. As I always call it, their lacrosse IQ has gone up dramatically, and that's a great thing, 'cause as they understand the game better, they're understanding the little intricacies of the game that are making them better. The results may not have seemed as impressive, on paper. Beating Luxembourg was a big win for us. We lose to Peru by a goal, and the other games, we worked hard. The one thing that people have to understand is these World Championships, I'm proud of the fact that of the 23 players we had on our team, 22 are full-time Ugandan residents. They're homegrown. We had one player from outside of Uganda, from the United States, who's of Ugandan descent. His father's Ugandan. And he came over and played with us and did a very good job with us. So I was pleased overall, because a lot of the countries that are playing now in these World Championships, they represent a country, but they're not as homegrown as we are. I'm so proud that we're out there with 99.9% of our players being homegrown. We could have gone the other direction. We could have gone out and looked for players from outside the country to come in and play for us.
Naturalized and all.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of these other teams have done. I don't really, and I hope this doesn't cause controversy, but my take on it is, yes, they're national teams, but I think they're also what we call heritage teams. And you know, when you have countries emerge for the first time who've never played in the World Championship before, and all of a sudden coming in with, you know, you look at their roster, and it's the majority of the roster are United States college guys of descent of that country. I think that says a lot about the makeup of a team, and is it truly a national type of situation? So I'm really proud of what our guys have done. They came off as being one of the most classy group of guys there. Everybody loved them. They're the way they purported themselves out. You know, professional. We had said before we go, gentlemen, this is a business trip. Act accordingly, and they did. From being on the field to being off the field in the venue, surrounded by other world team players, in the hotel, in the town of Netanya, in the city of Netanya. Couldn't be more proud of the way they were and how classy they were. And I think our coaching staff was just blown away by just how passionate they were about the game. We had no issues there. We had a couple guys get hurt. We took care of those issues right there, and everything was fine. So the World Championship formats are changing now, and that's going to be an issue for us over the next 4 years, because it used to be an open tournament. So any national team that wanted to come in and play, if they can pay their way to get there, they were allowed to play. Now it's going to be, you're going to have qualifiers to get in. Whereas in this past championship, I want to say, and again, I hope I'm not saying this wrong, I think there were 48 teams competing. This next World Championship is going to have 30. So you're going to have to qualify in through your region, through your your geographic region. Now, right now, we're still the only national team in Africa for men. I foresee in the next 4 years, leading up to the 2022 games, that there'll be more than just us having a men's national team, be it Kenya, be it Ghana, South Africa, you know, Tanzania, Rwanda, and then we're going to have to play in. We're going to have a true African champion that then will qualify to go to the World Championships, similar to the World Cup. So, you know, basically our free ride is over. And now we've got to earn it. And I hope on the upside of that is, it creates a much more serious environment to play lacrosse here, not just for the players, but for the administrators, for the coaches, for the government too. I mean, to look and say, hey, this is something viable. We're doing something really positive here. There's still talk of the Olympic Games in 2028, if nothing else, as an exhibition sport, and that will create another set of responsibilities for us to have. So I'm pleased where we are. I hope we can continue to do what we're doing. We started this mission together. I hope we can keep it going. And again, for me, this has been a real odyssey. And we've talked about my background on several occasions on other interviews. So, you know, I don't want to be anywhere else right now.
All right. We're glad we have you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time and getting to join us. And yes, like they have shared with you, we have that final game tomorrow. Liberty, as we wind this one up, just tell us where, what time, and do we have to pay to see?
Okay, lacrosse is still a free access kind of sport. And we are calling all the Ugandans that can make it to Meta Stadium in Lugazi, just at the Lugazi roundabout. The pitch is just a stone throw. Get time, get to Lugazi. The game
free of charge.
Free of charge, free access. 3 p.m. the game will be off, and I'm telling you, it's going to be fun, and it's nothing to miss. Everyone, I'm calling you. Let's be part of it.
All right, Uganda versus Kenya,
Yeah.
the under-19 teams.
Yeah.
That is what you will be watching in Lugazi at 3 p.m. tomorrow, free of charge. And that note, we come to the end of this interview. We're going to be taking a short break. When we get back, more sport for you right here on Game On.
Game on. It's game on. We are big on sports. Big on sports.